Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham, where Team Needham discusses everything healthcare. I'm your host, Shawn Needham, along with my wonderful wife, Janet, and we are streaming live from the Team Needham Abode podcast studio, and we are super excited to have Jeffrey Hockings on our podcast today. He is going to be talking about reversing type 2 diabetes. And for those of you that follow Janet and I, you know that we are very passionate about this subject, and we tell you that if you go to a doctor and they tell you type 2 diabetes isn't reversible, then you need to get a new doctor. So, Jeff, welcome to our show.
Yeah, great to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your history and how you got here.
Yeah. Well, I've been a doctor of chiropractic for 35 years now. First 18 years, my wife and I, we built and sold 4 wellness centers in Southern California, kind of pain management centers. And after 18 years of that, the whole insurance game, we got tired of that and decided to change gears for the rest of our careers together. Where we started this company now called Diabetes Reversal Group and decided to tackle type 2 diabetes because 16 years ago when we started this, as you guys know, there was no program somebody could join that showed you exactly what you can eat and not eat, what supplements to take, what exercise to do, provide coaching, and actually guarantee results. So we created it. And it's been a 16-year journey, and we got patent approval 5 years ago. So now we have the only patented system in the world that reverses type 2 diabetes. And it's a telemedicine company. We're expanding to India next year. So it's just really, really cool. We helped a lot of people, thousands and thousands so far, and we're just ready to keep on growing. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
That is exciting. Now, tell me, as a chiropractor, you saw lots of patients that had diabetes, I am sure.
Yes.
And they were on a list full of medications, I am sure. What did you do 18 years ago, to help those diabetics?
Yeah, so those first 18 years we were together, we kind of, it was kind of a Mickey Mouse type thing with, hey, here's some supplements you can take and stop eating also all the carbs and the sugar. So we kind of helped advise, but it really wasn't our main focus. And we really kind of dove into it because it runs in our family. I had an aunt who died of diabetes when I was younger. And my wife's dad, he just passed away a couple of years ago from diabetes complications. So this is a very personal mission to us. So back then, we just kind of, again, just sort of Mickey Moused it, didn't have anything structured. We were focused on the pain management wellness clinic portion of it, not really focused on the diabetes. But as we started seeing more and more people come in that had it, and nobody was helping them. And as you guys said, all their doctors are saying, hey, you have no hope. This is a permanent disease. You can't reverse it. Just take your meds and pray to God it doesn't get worse. And so we kind of got sick of that. So because we knew it was reversible, we just never had a structured program like we have now.
So speaking of pray to God it never got worse, out of all those people that were type 2 diabetics that were going the traditional route with medications, How many of them ever got better?
Oh, none of them. Yeah,
exactly.
Because treating diabetes with medications, the intention is not to reverse the disease. It's just to manage it with a never-ending cocktail of medications, which always increase, right? They max out the oral meds. Now we got to put you on insulin, and then you just keep increasing the dose of the insulin units. It's just a never-ending cycle. So that's the whole game, as you know, in medicine, is managing diabetes, not reversing it. And to the doctor's defense, and you know this as well, they're not trained in med school how to reverse diabetes. They're trained how to manage it with meds. So they really don't even know. They're not trying to hide it from their patients. They literally don't know that it can be reversed, and they certainly don't know how to do it. So it's pretty interesting.
Which to me, we're not taught that in pharmacy school or med school, but we are taught about the definition of diabetes and what it really means. And diabetes mellitus literally means in Greek, honey siphon. It basically means you are urinating out sugar. Yeah. And yet we're not taught that maybe you shouldn't eat less sugar. That to me is just silly.
I know. Yeah. It's a game, and you know that. Obviously there's really no incentive because you guessed medications, right? The pharmaceutical company, to their credit, they're very good marketers. And they want these patients taking meds every day the rest of their lives because that's their income. Just like a tobacco company wants everybody smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, right? That's the product they sell. And so there's no incentive there. And unfortunately, the doctors have a lot of, the pharmaceutical companies have a lot of influence on what's taught and not taught in med school. We can go down that rabbit hole, but that's really what's going on. So the doctors, again, and to their defense, and I want to make sure we're clear too, I'm not saying all medications are bad. Right. And so this disease is reversible. And of 100 diabetics that see our program, we might only have 15, 20% that want to do it. So for those 15, 20% that don't want to take control of their health and reverse the diabetes, I'm saying it's a good thing the medications are there, because it is helping at least prolong their life a little bit, even though we can agree it's not the best. But, you know, if they're not going to change your lifestyle, if they don't do something, at least take the medications, they're going to die, right? From, you know, going to coma,
Right.
or, you know, so it's a good thing they're there for that. But I think we all can agree here that it's not the best way you should do it. But I wish more people would want to do it. But again, I'm a student of human nature, and most people want the shortcut. So.
Well, they, in all fairness, they are kind of sold a false hope, right? We sat with a friend last night, and she was talking about her father's diabetes, but it's controlled.
Yeah.
He's controlled. His numbers are good. Like his A1C is good. His glucose is good. But what we're missing in this picture, and I'm sure you know this as well, is that the inflammation on the cellular level has not changed.
Correct.
Your pancreas is still being taxed. You know, your tissue is still on fire. So what Shawn and I usually like to put the analogy to is that, you know, we give them these meds, and then eventually they end up on insulin, and that's just putting like kerosene on the fire, right?
Exactly.
It's not changing the root cause or the root problem. And many times, like you say, doctors are thinking they are doing the best for their patients. I mean, I truly believe that many times. In fact, we know a doctor, Dr. Nelson Valdez, that says, you know, I was an expert. I was an expert until it was him, right? Until he had to look himself in the mirror and say, I got to do something or I'm not going to be here. Right. It didn't change until he realized that it had to come from changing his lifestyle.
And, you know, Jeff, we've got drugs that are great at lowering blood sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I could go on and on about it, but blood sugar is just a symptom of the problem. You know, and, you know, some of the drugs that we have, I mean, for instance, like Janet says, I mean, giving insulin to lower the blood sugar is really like putting fuel on the fire, because type 2 diabetics already have enough insulin. It's just not working very well. Or, you know, I remember when the first class of drugs came out that would help people urinate out sugar. I mean, tell me how much sense that makes.
Exactly.
I mean, diabetes mellitus per definition is you're urinating too much sugar. We're going to urinate out more sugar so you can just lower the blood sugar, and we can check it off the box, say, look, you're a controlled diabetic. You're not fixing the problem.
Yeah, 100%. Again, to your point, like, right, the doctors, when they say it's managed or controlled, that's just a fallacy, right? Because again, I said this for decades, right? That medications are designed to make your labs look pretty. Right. So whatever's wrong, if you've got high blood pressure, take some pills to bring it down. If it's too low, take some to bring it up. If your blood sugar is too high, take some to bring it down. So you'll get labs done. Hey, my labs look good. My A1C 6.5. I'm all good. Cholesterol's normal. Yeah, but you're taking 7 or 8 meds to get it normal. Right. That's what they forget. And same thing with our father-in-law. He was so like, oh, my doctor says I'm good. My labs are good. I'm like, but Bob, you're taking 13 medications to do that, man. What are you doing? That's not normal. What do your labs look like when you're off the meds? That's what you really need to focus on, right?
Right.
So,
And I will say this, Jeff, back up a little bit on what you said, that, you know, medications will, you know, prolong their life somewhat. I just, as a pharmacist, I just don't know about that anymore. I mean, maybe if their blood sugars are like 500 and 600 and you can get them down, you know, it might prolong their life a little bit, but I just don't know. I mean, I don't trust the studies anymore. They're all sponsored by drug companies. Yeah. So just like you're talking about with blood pressure, you know, if we lower somebody's blood pressure less than 140 and we put it down to 130 and they're still 100 pounds overweight, are we really going to prolong their life? I doubt it. Yeah. Same thing with diabetes. Let's get their glucose down below 100 on an average, and they're 100 pounds overweight. Are we really prolonging their life? I doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a hard thing to sell, right? Because I learned, you know, over 30 years ago that selling prevention is a very hard thing to do. Because our society is so focused and brainwashed that you got a symptom, take the pill, get rid of the symptom, you're good, right? So that's kind of the philosophy. And so it's very, very sad when you see that kind of happening right now where, and I've seen in our practice, our program, that the majority of people who join our program is because they're scared. Like they finally reached that breaking point where they're getting enough neuropathy in their feet that they're scared of getting an amputation, or they got some, diabetic retinopathy. They don't want to go blind. They're in stage 4 kidney failure. They don't want to go on dialysis. And they finally say, I got to stop screwing around and do something about this. That's the thing. Like someone who's like late 40s, early 50s, who just got diagnosed with diabetes, taking 500 milligrams of metformin, nothing else, with no symptoms, they're never going to do our program, right? There's not enough urgency for that person, or fear that they have to change their lifestyle. So those people unfortunately have to get worse before they finally say, okay, enough's enough. And I wish it wasn't like that, but again, it's been around too long to know that's just kind of how it is. And I wish we could change it. So,
we sorry to interrupt, but what we've done is we've said, well, you're pre-diabetic, right? Like we've touched it like, oh, this is just a concern, right? But it should be now, correct it now, right?
Well, and too, when doctors, even when they diagnose you, like, what do they say? Oh, okay, Janet, you're a diabetic. So here's what I want you to do. Take this medication, watch what you eat, do a little bit of exercise, you'll be fine. Right? They don't give the urgency like, holy cow, you're a diabetic. This can kill you. You need to stop this. They don't do the urgency that you said. They kind of minimize the severity of the diabetes. And that's a really big problem right now. And that's
right. Because it gives you false security.
Yes.
It really does. It's really kind of like we had a young gal that she, PCOS, pre-diabetic. She's on metformin, which is horrible, by the way, on the gut. Yeah. She would rather take her metformin and not change her diet because her doctor didn't give her any insight on what she should be doing with her lifestyle. Yeah. When she's talking to me, I'm like, you need to stop eating all this junk and drinking all this junk. You need to stop taking all this processed stuff and eat real food and eat protein and fat. And she's just like, oh, well, my doctor says. And I'm not blaming her or the doctor. It is false hope, in my opinion.
Right. And it needs to start at the source, right? As I said, in med school, the doctors need to be trained better on, hey, here's the wellness part of this. And you need to be trained that, hey, you can reverse diabetes if somebody wants it. If they don't want to change your lifestyle, okay, here's the meds for that. But they're not trained that way. They're just trained just in the pharmaceutical approach. And as again, we can discuss it's intentional. That's not an accident that they're only taught how to diagnose, prescribe, and do surgery. They're not taught acupuncture, chiropractic, wellness, nutrition, anything in med school. It's just pharmaceuticals and surgery. And again, that's an intentional design. It's not accidental. So,
and what they really should be taught, if we wanted to be honest with patients that are diabetics when they get newly diagnosed, is this. You kind of already mentioned it about eyesight, neuropathy in your feet and kidney disease. We should be honest with those, and we should say this: look, either you start denying yourself extra food and carbohydrates, or we're going to have to deny you your eyesight, your kidneys, and your feet. Yeah. You can lose all of those with this disease if you don't change it. And it's a carbohydrate metabolism problem. So you probably should start changing your carbohydrate intake.
Yeah, I would do that in my seminars. I did those all over the world that say, what's more important to you, your bread or your feet? Make your choice. You can't have both, but my doctor said that the whole grains are good. It's white bread is bad. I'm like, that's like saying cocaine is good and heroin's bad. Right? I mean, they're both bad. Like, there's no maybe you could argue heroin's a little bit worse than cocaine, but they're both bad, right? Same with that. And same with soda versus diet soda. We can go down that route. I mean, it's so funny. Yeah.
Right. So how do we change this? Because, education has to be part of it. So I'm assuming that's part of your program. How do you approach that with your clients?
Yeah, well, again, the majority of people who come and watch our webinars, obviously they're curious. They say, I've kind of heard maybe that this is reversible. Let me check it out. So they'll watch our webinar. Then at the end, they can schedule a consultation with us where we so the first part is our hour-long webinar, which kind of educates them and shows them, first of all, how bad this disease is, because they're not told how bad it is. So the first 15, 20 minutes of our webinar really almost like intentionally like wakes them up and says, look, this can kill you. This can cut your feet off, go blind, dialysis, heart attack, stroke, Alzheimer's. Like, we show them all of that because their doctor hasn't told them that. Then we say, hey, but now here's a solution, right? And this is how we do it. So we kind of walk them through that process. So yeah, the education is very, very important. But again, we still have to get somebody who's willing. They're at that point where, okay, I'm willing to change my lifestyle to make this happen. And unfortunately now with all the meds and now with the whole GLP-1 craze and Ozempic, there's this whole, millions and millions of diabetics that just want that shortcut. Let me take my insulin, let me take my GLP-1s. I don't have to change anything I'm eating. I can just take this drug and I'm good to go. And that's the false hope too, is that they can take these meds and not have to change your lifestyle. And they'll eventually pay the consequence of that.
Right. And I think with the GLP-1s, what we're going to see, Jeff, is what we saw, 20, 30 years ago when bariatric surgery was going to solve everybody's problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now 20, 30 years later, we see those bariatric patients that didn't change their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And, they still got all the diseases they had before. They've gained their weight back. I think in a couple of years, Jeff, we're going to see the same with GLP-1s after we see a lot of the side effects, long-term, short-term. And
well,
people
you
are going
guys
to realize
back in the 90s, right, what happened with fen-phen. Fen-phen was the GLP-1s of the 90s, right? It was on the market for 3-4 years. Everybody took it. All the celebrities were taking it. It's the wonder drug for weight loss, etc. Boom, after about 4 years, off the market because all the lawsuits were happening because of all the side effects. And the last time I looked, they've actually paid out over $13 billion in lawsuit payments to people harmed by fen-phen. And they already started class action lawsuits last year for Ozempic and GLP-1. So again, just like you said, I think another year or two, once they reach that threshold where they're paying out more money in lawsuit payments and settlements than they're making on the drug, they'll take it off the market too, right? That's kind of how they do it. It's interesting.
right.
But it's like a small fine if you already made, right? If you already put it in the bank and you made a certain amount of profit, then we just move on to the next thing, right? And I think what we really need to be honest with people is that, lifestyle changes can be difficult at first, but long term, they're the answer and the solution. And many times when I'm talking to people like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, why can't you? Why can't you just start with one thing? Why not? It's possible. And you've seen this too, right? Like we see people that buy in and decide, okay, if I'm going to live a long life, have a quality life, not just survive, just have some longevity. No, we want to thrive, right? If they buy into that and they're willing to make changes, if they just do a few things at a time, it's not that difficult. Yeah, and it's mostly very inexpensive, right?
No, 100%. But it still goes back to, it's hard for us to put motivation on somebody. Yeah. And as I said before in that example, that diabetic who just gets diagnosed, no symptoms, late 40s, early 50s, no, it's not affecting their life whatsoever, except taking a pill, like taking a supplement every morning, right? Someone don't even know the difference. Hey, I feel pretty good. If I get worse, I'll call you. That's kind of the attitude they have. Yeah. And so we'll get people that say, I saw your webinar 5 years ago. I didn't do it, but now I'm kind of getting scared. Can I do your program now? I'm like, yeah, you can. You should have done it 5 years ago. But that's the thing we've seen. So I've kind of stopped trying because I've done this for so long, guys. I've stopped trying to, how do you get to those people that aren't that bad and make them make some small changes? Again, they're so busy in their lives and they don't have the education we have with healthcare, et cetera. Mm-hmm. It's just very difficult to get that person with no symptoms to put urgency on, hey, just stop doing that a little bit. Just stop doing that and watch what happens. Again, I'm just a student of human nature. I've seen it so long and I've really got to stop trying. That's why we have a pre-diabetes program, but we don't even market it because number one, it's not a challenge for us because again, if your A1C 6.1 taking no meds, how easy is that to make a couple changes and get your A1C back to normal, right? It's not that hard. So that's not really a challenge for us. And there's 50 other companies in the pre-diabetic space. So we're just focused on diagnosed type 2 that are really not feeling well. That's our sweet spot where we can get people better. But still, luckily for us, there's millions of those diabetics that once they know that it is reversible, they are willing to change your lifestyle. They just don't know about it yet. So that's what our program's all about. How do we get that word out? So at least we get that 10 to 15% of people that are willing to reverse it if they knew it was possible. The rest of them, unfortunately, they got to get worse before they do it. And sadly, some of the people who get really bad still don't want to reverse it.
Yeah.
Like they'd rather sit in a wheelchair with 2 amputated legs, still eating their pizza and ice cream. Like, you can't help people like that, right?
No. So, on the prediabetes diagnosis, hemoglobin A1C of 6.1, they're just pre-diabetic. You know as well as I do, Jeff, those people are diabetics. We're just looking at the wrong markers.
Yeah.
Because if you looked at their fasting insulin, it'd be super high. Their pancreas is still working for now. So it's keeping their glucose in check for now. But eventually the rubber's going to meet the road and they're diabetic. They already are. And that's why we should be checking fasting insulin instead of fasting glucose, because it's going to catch diabetes earlier. But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
So tell us some positive things. I'm sure you have lots of stories about how somebody's changed their life by taking your program. Give us the first example that comes to mind.
Yeah, it's thousands and thousands that we have, right? So it's kind of a broken record, right? I came in, I'm taking 7 or 8 meds, like 3 oral meds with your diabetic meds, some blood pressure, cholesterol, neuropathy meds, acid reflux, A1Cs 8.5. 4 months later, I'm off all my meds. I'm feeling great. Lost 20 pounds. Sex drives increased. All of that. So it's just on and on, right? But one of the biggest ones I love to tell is this. About 10 years ago, I had a patient come in, and this is when we kind of were just sort of starting. And I'm like, I was still, even though I'm in wellness, I know the power of the body to heal when you stop putting crap in. I had this guy come in, I even was like, I don't know if we can help this guy. He was like 6'6", big guy, 400 pounds, right? Check this out. His A1C was over 15. I couldn't even get the reading. It says 15 plus on the A1C reading. He was taking 350 units of insulin a day. Wow. His A1C was still over 15. So talk about being insulin resistant. Like, he was resisting his own insulin and now the artificial insulin. Like, what, we're going to put you on 500 units of insulin? So so I looked at my wife. I'm like, I don't know if we're going to help this guy. Put him on our 6-month program. Literally 6 months later, he lost about 150 pounds off all of his insulin. A1C was under 6.0. I'm like, okay, I will never doubt the power of our program ever again, because we've never had anybody that bad. And he just was all in it. He was married, had some kids, had big motivation to change his life, and he did it. Very proud of him. But that just kind of really even reinforced more that there's nobody that's so bad that they can't change it. If they're willing to eat the right foods, take the right supplements, do the exercise, your body's going to heal. But you got to stop putting the crap in it. And it's just amazing how fast it turns around.
That what an incredible story. And I mean, you saved his life. Yeah, I mean, seriously, that guy on that much insulin, I just don't know how he could live another 5 years.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And he was in his early 40s, I think. So he's very young guy, and he was still that. So he kind of saw, but again, he had that motivation. Like, he wanted to be able to walk his daughter down the aisle when she got married and, that kind of thing. So he was very emotional about it. He knew that he'd messed up and he was ready. Like, he had that fear and that motivation to change. And there's, obviously he could have done that years ago, but something got to that breaking point. I think for him, it was, I want to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle. It's like, whoa. And me having a daughter, that was like, whew, that gets me emotional. Like, how can the dad not want to have that joy, So it motivated him pretty strongly.
I think that motivates a lot of us, is our children. And when, I've had a health journey also, and it started when I was about 40, or about ready to turn 40. And I was the same. It's like, I wanted to be able to run and to play and to ride bikes with my teenage boys when they were teenagers. So, children are very motivating for us because we want to stay healthy for them long term, and, God willing, grandkids too.
Yes. Yeah.
So I wonder, think about that guy's, even though I'm sure he had some kind of insurance, and I'm sure he thought it was good insurance, if there's such thing as good health insurance. Imagine how much money he was spending a month on drugs, and even if they were covered, co-pays, deductibles.
Yeah.
I imagine thousands of dollars a month.
Yeah. Well, and then how much money now we save the healthcare system, right? By not having another guy costing the healthcare system, thousands per month. So, 30, 40 grand a year. So it's insane. So that's kind of why right now we have a really big push right now for us to get in front of RFK Jr., because we want to have our patented program be a covered service for Medicare and Medicaid. just 20 million diabetics on Medicare and Medicaid, and it's costing
Wow.
Medicare an average of $14,000 per year per diabetic. So do the math on that. We're talking $280 billion a year. I mean, it's insane.
That's not sustainable.
No,
that's
it's
not sustainable.
And so for us to get in front of ARC and you say, look, we have the only patent. We've been doing this for 16 years. Let's go. This should be a covered service. And we can save Medicare over $100 billion plus per year when people do our program and reverse it. So again, I think we have a good rebel up there now in Washington who at least he's saying all the right things. He wants to help end chronic disease. Well, you guys know diabetes #2 behind heart disease. So let's go. Like, why would they not want to talk to the guy who's got the only patent in the world to reverse type 2? So we have a couple different people we know that are trying to get us in front of him to have that meeting. And so it's going to be exciting.
So tell us a little bit more about how somebody signs up for your program. I'm streaming your website here.
Yeah. So if you want to pull up a different one, they can pull up reverseyourdiabetes.com. Reverseyourdiabetes.com. That's where they can go and register and watch our free webinar. That's where they can go. And yeah, it's a really easy first step, no obligation. They watch the webinar and they see if it resonates with them, and we can help them out. So that's the easiest place to go to.
And what's the cost of the program, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the severity of their condition. We have programs to start, at $1,000, go up as high as $8,000, depending on severity and how much coaching and training they want. So, but we have third-party financing options too, so it makes it very affordable if someone can't afford a few $1,000s, whatever. So again, our program's affordable for anybody who wants to do it. Like, we'll figure out a way for them to pay for it because it is not covered by insurance, as stupid as that is. But yeah, that's how it works. So yeah, so it's reverseyourdiabetes.com, and that's where they can go to register and watch it.
And tell me, Jeff, as we wrap this podcast up, I'm getting to that website. Tell us what you have a passion for.
Yeah, right now, I mean, as far as healthcare, the biggest thing I want people to know is that this disease is reversible. If you've been told it's not, it's 100% false. And like you said in the beginning, if their doctor's saying it's not reversible, then guess what? Find another doctor, because it is 100% reversible. And they shouldn't be poo-pooing it and making you think you're crazy to think that it is. So that's really the thing that fires us up right now is, even though I've been doing this for so long now, guys, again, I'm 61 years old, been in healthcare 35 years. And I just getting these testimonials in every day of people who literally saved their life. I mean, what a better thing to do. I mean, it's phenomenal. My wife and I have been married 33 years. We've been doing this together, and it's just, our daughter works for our company. This is a family affair, and we're just excited for all the results we get. It's really cool.
So last thing, if there's one thing, if for any diabetic or pre-diabetic that's watching, if there's one thing that you could tell them to help change their life, what would that be?
Yeah, well, again, they got to start eating the right foods, right? And you got to go somewhere that tells you no BS what you can eat and not eat. Not to say, yeah, whole grains are good, white bread's bad. That kind of nonsense that's out there. So they got to go somewhere that they can get that support, training, and coaching to kind of walk them through a program and not try and figure it out on their own. Because again, Michael Jordan had a coach, Tiger Woods has a coach. They need a coach to kind of help maximize this and walk them through this. So they're not fumbling around, learning from this expert, that expert, and never getting anything done and no results are happening. So that's what I would suggest is find somebody that resonates with you, that can coach you, that has experience in doing this, and it's going to save you a lot of time, and you can reverse this thing very, very quickly when you do the right thing.
Awesome. I love it, Jeff. Well, thank you. You've helped us realize our goal of this podcast, which is to educate and empower individuals to take charge of their own health. So you have helped us realize that goal. So thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, guys. Nice to meet you.
And listeners and viewers, thank you for tuning into Health Solutions with Shawn and Janet Needham. Tune in Monday to our regularly scheduled podcast, 12:30 to 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. Thank you.